Hi, welcome to In My Own Design. My name is Kimberly, and we're going to be starting off first with what we have in front of us. I have an 11 by 14 size canvas over here, and we have a fan just to help us go through our process a little bit faster. If you guys have a hair dryer, we're going to use that as well. Anything that helps the layers go past a little bit faster. So then we have our large background brush. We're going to have a round tip brush that comes to a point. We're going to have our square brush and our detail brush. All right. My palette's a little dirty. I did use this palette, the same colors in another class. So I'm using my palette again just so that I don't throw this paint away. But the colors we're going to be using are going to be green, yellow, blue, black, white, and red. Okay, so we're going to be starting off first. Like I always mention, our paint is not ready to use just because it's out of the container. So we're going to want to keep it in a middle ground of wetness. We're going to want to add a little bit of water so that it's softer than this. But if you find that it is a little bit runny and it's going everywhere and it's kind of see-through, then you're going to want to add a little bit more paint to make your paint thicker. So try to keep the balance right in the middle, okay? So the colors we're going to be painting our background with are going to be some blue, and some white. We are going to add a little bit of green here and there, but just to add a little bit of a variety of colors. But we're going to come in first with our water. We're going to add that to our white. So our brush is like a sponge. So remember to squeeze your brush to get all that water into your white there. Okay, so we have some white, and to this white, we're going to be picking up some blue and we're going to be adding it to that white. Okay, and our brush strokes are going to be up and down all the way across, and we want to get all of these varieties of colors. Okay, so we don't want to blend it all. We don't want to make it look like it's all sky blue. We do want to get a dark blue. We want to get some whites in there. We want to get some darker blues, maybe even some greens in there. So see that, how we can see all the variety of colors? If you want to add more white, you can go in with your white and just pull your white in. If you want to go in with some more blue, you can grab some blue. Remember to pick up some water, but you can grab some blue and brush that blue upwards. And you can add it anywhere that you feel it maybe needs it. Right here, it looks like it's a little too white. So I'm going to grab a little bit more of my blue and I'm going to put it off on the corners. Okay, and we're going to continue this all the way across our canvas. If you find that it's scratchy, like mine is right here, pick up a little bit more water to soften that up. So we're coming in with that blue, and we're just going to keep that going. If you want more blue, pick up a little bit more blue and scratch that blue on there. You could even scratch it directly in the middle, see, just to get a little bit more of a darker color. If you think it's too blue and you want more white, you could go in there with a little bit of that white and brighten it up. Okay, so the other color we're going to be using in here besides our blue and our white is going to be a little bit of this green. Okay, so we're going to go on the corner of our green and we're just going to pick up a little bit. When you mix green with blue, you start to get kind of like a turquoise color or a teal. So that's really going to help this picture because we're painting cactus and cactuses are going to be green. So that teal is actually going to be a really good complement to that darker green we're going to be having there. Okay, so we're going to take it all the way across.
Make sure that you've added all the highlights and shadows that you want. We are looking for a very diverse color palette. We want to make sure we have a varieties of blues and that aqua green. Once you've completed all of this, make sure that you go ahead and blow dry it before we move on to the next step.
Okay, so we're going to be picking up our round tip brush now. Okay, picking up our round tip. We are now picking up a little bit of white, and we are going to be picking up this green over here. Okay, so we are going to be building up our cactus. We're going to be starting a little bit lighter, but we are going to be adding some black to this a little bit later when we start to add more shadow. We're going to use this green just to kind of outline where our cactuses are going to be. We have a cactus that's coming out of the corner over here. Okay, and that cactus is going to come and end on this side over here. See, so we're ending about maybe 2/3 of the way in, and then right here maybe about 4 or 5 fingers upwards. So we're ending right there, and we're continuing over here, and we're doing 2 little sections coming out of that cactus right there. Then on top, we're going to come onto the side and we're going to do a cactus over here on the side of it. See that? So we have this little cactus on there. And this one also has a little mini cactus or bump over the top. They're like little flowers. That. And then off to the side of that, we're going to do one more that's going to come towards the corner on the left. So we are starting in the bottom. You're going to want to go a little bit lower than half, just so that we have enough space to go up. So we're going to go a little lower than half. And we are going to come in straight, angling it a little bit towards the top like that, just slightly. And then we're going to start to round it to make that other cactus up here. Again, if it looks a little messy, that's fine. We are going to fill it in, and it's going to look a little better when we're done with it, when we're done painting it in. Okay, and then this is going to come straight down, and we're going to have that section right there coming down. See, like a little bulb, and we have a tiny little flower on the side. Okay, so to fill these in, we are going to be using our background brush. And we're going to start off first with a little bit of this green. We're going to be dividing it in half. And part of this green is actually going to have a little bit of blue in it. Okay, so we're going to add just a little bit of blue into that green. And we're also going to add a little drop of black into it. So we want a darker green. And remember, again, it has some blue in it. So it's going to be green and blue and a drop of black. And that's going to be our darker green section that we're going to be using in the bottom. So we're going to come in with our big brush and we're going to fill in that dark green with our bigger brush there. Okay, so we're going to paint in some of that dark green. Once we start to go a little bit more towards the middle, we're picking up a little bit of the plain green. And you don't have to worry about washing off your brush unless you have a lot of paint. We're going to be grabbing our plain green. We're going to try to blend it as well as we can in the middle too. We don't want to leave a line. We don't want to make it look as if it's two different colors. We do want to mix it in a little bit. So we are going to be bringing some of that green into the darker section just so that we get a blending effect. Okay, we're going to add a little bit more green in the middle.
And as we go off to the side, we're going to begin to use a little bit more yellow. See, and we're going to start to get more of like a yellow green color right there. So we're picking up that yellow, we're picking up a little bit of our green, and we're going to start to paint on the corners a little bit there. See that? We're not really trying to blend it as much. We're just layering the color over the top. You want to mix a little bit of that lime green into the center green. That'll make it look as if it's blending better. Okay, remember we go up and then we go back down a little bit, and then we go up again and then we go back down. And then finally, we're going to get that same yellow, green, and this time we're picking up a little bit of white. And I have all three colors on my brush, and that's going to be the lighter color on top. It's going to be the same thing, except that now we're grabbing a little bit of white, and look at that difference that it gives us there. Gives us a really big highlight on that side. You can also scrape it towards the bottom and again a little bit lower towards the middle. Remember, we do want to go back and forth only because it makes it look as if it's transitioning instead of having a different line for every color. Okay, so I'm going to go back over the top here. And I'm going to add some of that yellow over the top. Again, if you want to go over the green and blue section, now that that section has dried, you can go back in there with a little bit more green and blue. With that drop of black, remember? You can totally go back in there and fill up that darker section a little bit more again. It might have been a little bit too light, and we want to make sure that we can cover that background with the blue lines. Okay, again, I am going a little bit towards the lighter section as well, because I do want it to look as if it's blending on there. So we have one cactus right there. And we're going to do the same thing we did to this cactus on the next one. So we're grabbing a little bit of that blue and mixing it with our green. Okay. To that, I'm adding just a little bit of black just to make it darker. And we are starting on the darker section. So I'm coming over here and I'm putting in the darker color, brushing that back and forth. To make sure I have that round shape. And every time I paint this, I do curve it a little bit just to give it that form already. When the paint dries, it's going to make it look a little bit rounder just because I curved my brush when I was painting. Okay, then in the middle, we're picking up some of that plain green. There we go, mixing in some of that green in the middle. It might look a little transparent because it is light, and we're going to bring it into our darker green. Maybe even curve it a little bit more towards the left. So I'm kind of creating like an almond shape in the middle with that green. See that? And as we go towards the right, we pick up a little bit more yellow with the same brush because we're painting with green. So don't worry about washing off that green off of your brush. Okay. If it starts to get too sticky, the only thing you need to do is pick up more water. We're coming in with our yellow, and we're coming from the top and brushing it down towards the bottom. Picking up some more yellow. And then we're going to pick up a little bit of white because remember, we have the more highlighted section on that corner. I love how that white looks on there. I love this. It's so pretty. And we are going to mix it a little bit into the middle because remember, that's how we start to make it look a little bit more 3D. As you start to go towards the right, you make your curves a little bit more towards the right. If when you're in the middle, you make your line right in the middle. As you start to go to the left, you start to curve your lines more towards the left. And just like we did before, I'm going to go back and I'm going to touch up my darker green one more time with a little bit of that black, blue, and green. Okay, I'm going to come back and I'm going to mess with that dark section one more time. Again, just to make sure that I've added that shadow nice and thick. So as we move up, we continue that pattern of having a dark color, except that once we move here towards the top, we're actually going to focus on having the dark towards the bottom, the green in the middle, and then the highlight on the top. So it's going to be just a little bit different. Again, we're going to have the darker colors right here towards the bottom. Okay, it's going to make it look as if the sun is hitting the top part instead of the side. Okay, so we're going to be doing this dark color on the sides now, from the middle up. See that? If you want to add a little bit of an outline on the sides with this, you can. In the middle, we're going to grab the plain green, and we're just painting the middle with that green. Okay, we're remembering to bring it down towards the blue in the darker section, remember. We're going to have some of that green right there in the middle. And we're just going to brush it down a little bit towards the darker blue green color. And now the highlight is going to be on top. So we're grabbing some yellow first to make that a little lighter. You could even mix it into the middle a little bit. Kind of like a rainbow. You see that? We have the rainbow shape on top. I'm continuing to play with that yellow back and forth. Coming back down here, adding a little bit more of that darker green. Awesome. There we go. We're starting to get that color we're looking for there. So next, I'm grabbing that green, that yellow, and again, that white now. So that color is what's going to give us our highlight on top now. So let's go back. If you want to add a little bit more yellow and white towards the top, you can make it a little bit brighter. Just come in with that yellow and just scrape it over the top of it like a rainbow. Again, don't push too hard. Try to go very light over it, just so that you can blend that yellow and white together. And there we go. Come back with a little bit more of that yellow and green over the top over here. So working on our little ones right here, we're going to be doing the same thing. It's going to be a little bit of that darker green with a little bit of blue on the right hand side of these. Okay. You could do like 2 of them at the same time. Okay. Then we're coming in with the green right in the middle. The yellow right on the side. And you get to put it in a little bit into the darker green too. And then at the end, it's going to be that yellow with white. And again, you get to work a little bit of that into the darker section as well, so that it looks like it's all part of the same thing. So again, we're coming in with a little bit of the yellow and white. And we're going to have that lighter section on the side there. And we're going to do the same thing for these two. It's going to be that darker green on the side. Same thing over here. Darker green on the bottom right. Then it's going to be the plain green in the middle. It's going to be some yellow after that. And we kind of work in some of that yellow into the darker areas too. And then it's going to be some white at the end of that. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to catch up. I'll give you guys like a good 10 minutes. And that way you guys can take your time, no rush. And then we'll be working on our flowers. Okay. So again, just take your time, no pressure. So how are you guys doing? So with our round tip brush, we are going to start in on our right. We're going to do yellow first, all the way down. I'm going to do this flower from scratch again. So we're doing yellow first. Then we're going to be adding some red on the right hand side. And we're going to be working that red into our yellow. Then we're going to be grabbing our yellow and we're going to do a smaller layer with this yellow. Okay, a little bit shorter than the petals we did before, a little bit smaller. Cool. Then we're going to be bringing in some of this white and we're going to make our petals even smaller with our white. And that's going to make it look as if we have a lot of layers in our flowers. And that's going to give you the look of the flowers that we have on all of these. Okay, so it's one layer yellow and red, then it's yellow and then white. And it gives us more of an open look with our flowers. Okay, you can go in there with a little bit more red too and add some more details if you'd like to. Okay, all right. Go back in there with a little bit more white. You repeat this pattern on all 4 flowers and then we should be good. Okay, so next with our detail brush, a little bit of water and black. We're going to start off in the middle and we're going to make these little spikes. They're going to be like little V's. Okay, in the middle, they're going to be towards the middle. Once you start to put them off to the side a little bit, you are going to start to curve them towards that side. Okay, so if you're on the right, they're going to curve towards the right. If you're on the left, they're going to start to curve towards the left a little bit. Okay, see that? You're not going to want to put them so close together. Here, I added them too close. You're going to want to skip some spaces between, leave them a little bit more
spaced out, leave a little bit of gaps between all of them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do all of these cactuses with these V's with our black, and then we're gonna go back and we're gonna go over them lightly with a little bit of white just to add a highlight. Okay, so first we're gonna be doing our black all the way across. See, you can make it look like we have some on the sides too. And we're gonna continue that all the way down. Let me zoom out, and that way you can see what the whole picture is looking like. Okay, so we're just gonna keep this up. We're gonna be using our black first, and then again, we're gonna be going over it with some white. So let's just do our black on all of them, and then we can come back and add a little bit of that light highlight. All right, so once you have done these black lines, you're gonna come in with some of this white. Make sure that you add plenty of water into that white so that it's nice and smooth. Mine's super chunky. Okay, but we're gonna come in with some of that white, and we're gonna go over some of these lines. Okay, let me give you an example again, starting off from the middle. We're just gonna come in, and off the side of them, we're just gonna kind of mimic the scratch. We don't have to do the whole V, but we can just come in and do some of our highlights on part of the lines, just so that we get a highlight, and we're gonna be doing that to all of them. So again, once you're done, just go in with your detail brush. I grabbed white, but you can do lime green or red or pink or orange, any of the colors that you see on here, and you can make your signature with that. But then that's all you need, just your signature, and you're done.
Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to check out our other videos on our website, andwineanddesign.org.